Hey everyone, and welcome again to today's episode on the Happy PharmD podcast. My name is Chris Bakley, and I'll be your host. I'm super excited about today's episode. We will be discussing a lot of different topics in pharmacy, personal health and well-being, and everything in between with one of our newest coaches at the Happy PharmD. Again, super stoked to invite today's guest, Miss Anne Nguyen. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Happy PharmD podcast. Today I have one of our coaches, Anne Nguyen. Welcome to the podcast, Anne. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. My pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. You're welcome anytime. But I'd love to just jump right in, and if you could share a brief bio about yourself, where you're from, where you went to school, where you started with career-wise, and where you are now.
Sure. So I went to the University of Texas at Austin for my bachelor and doctor of pharmacy, and I graduated back in 2013 and didn't know what I want to do in my P3 year, but P4 year I got more clarity and I definitely want to be in leadership. So I decided to pursue a PGY1, PGY2 master degree in pharmacy administration, and the program is called the Houston program, where they have 7 different hospitals, and the Master in Pharmacy Leadership is through the University of Houston and College of Pharmacy. And that's kind of where I get my starting journey in, for leadership. Even though I did a management administration residency, I've always have a heart for clinical. So being the odd resident that I was, I always pick a clinical rotation during my residency. So shortly after I finished my residency in 2015, I went on and took a hybrid administrative/clinical role at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer, which takes care of majority of cancer patient population. I helped to pilot the transition of care program there. I was there for about a few years as their internal medicine specialist as well. And then I moved on to my current role right now, which is a pharmacy manager at a community hospital in Houston, Texas, where I have about 42 direct reports, both pharmacists and technicians, and about 6 indirect clinical pharmacy specialists.
That's very cool. And since when you made those transitions, what kind of led you each time to make a transition? What were you thinking when you were going through that path?
Yeah, so I think in my P4 year, or even throughout pharmacy school, I'm always that one student who wants to do everything and interested in everything. And I realized it's just who I am. I want to keep learning and expose myself to as many different fields as possible. I have a very strong and still have a very strong interest in public health. So during my P2 year, going to my P3, I actually did a internship with the World Health Organization in Switzerland. And that opens the door to kind of seeing how pharmacists can impact at a global level. So I came back very excited. And one thing I realized is that you got to be in leadership role to make changes in a sense where more impact and greater changes, right? As a clinician, of course you do, but it's more one-on-one versus to really make, hundreds of thousands of patients from that impact standpoint, then you got to be in a leadership role. So that's kind of basically one of the reasons how I got interested in leadership. And I was very involved in pharmacy school. I was the vice president of pharmacy council and SSHP, and just again trying to be exposed as much as possible. So that's kind of how I got started and interested in the administration residency. What led me from residency to my clinician role at MD Anderson, going back again, it was kind of when I finished, it was a perfect role where I can have a mix of clinical work, which is internal medicine, rounding with the docs and taking care of patient one-on-one. But then I can also have the administrative hat where I help to coordinate a transition of care program, helping our internal medicine patient to prevent readmission. So it was just a perfect fit. I got another job offer to, with more benefits, suppose, but I actually end up picking this other one just because I felt like it was the right thing. And then my next jump, which is my current position right now, is the pharmacy manager. And I think what motivated is just, I think I felt like I had enough experience in clinical, and I really want to get started with assuming a management role. So, and one of the biggest reasons is really close to home. My other job was about an hour each way. So I would drive 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. There was a couple of days that takes me like 4 hours to just get home.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I was doing that for a few years, like 3 years, and it was taxing. So I'm like, all right, let's look at somewhere close to home. And this is about 30 minutes, which to some people is really far, some close, but it was just a perfect distance. And to be honest, I wasn't even looking at that point. It was a co-resident that say, hey, we have a pharmacy manager job. Will you be interested? I'm like, well, I'm pretty happy at MD Anderson, but why not, So, and lo and behold, I applied, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. And I can 100% relate to that drive. I used to live in Virginia and drive to Maryland every day through DC. So I was like, at times it could be an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if there was an accident each way. So I can
Yes.
100% relate to that. And 30 minutes is like enjoyable compared to that one way, right?
Yeah,
If
I think
yeah,
like the best, I guess the silver lining in that long 2 hour, 3 hour commute is that I have to commute to university. So that's how I got into like audiobooks and just listen to a lot of audiobooks. So yeah, now I'm even continuing that tradition, even though I don't commute as much, but I try to at least hit 4 books a month. Like that's my goal.
that's an awesome goal.
I don't always get to it, but that's always the goal, is to hit 4 books a month.
Gotcha. You can, I mean, definitely if you're driving a lot and audiobooks, you can definitely crush through some books pretty quick for sure. And it's pretty enjoyable too. It makes the drive much better. So I can totally
Yes.
relate. But that's awesome. So I think that having that hybrid role where you can manage and also, headline clinical, ideas and practices is so cool. And then I know recently you also started coaching. So what led you to make that additional step in your career?
Sure. To be honest, I feel like I'm coaching one way or another, like mentoring, but mentoring is different from coaching, right? I just feel like I'm always passionate about working with people. Like I can talk to someone for hours and then we lost track of time, really. And even in pharmacy school and even now, or I have people that just come to me with like questions or issues, or like, hey, I have this problem, what should I do? I have this. And I enjoy that. Like I enjoy problem solving with people. And I felt like I also have a knack just working with a lot of students. Like one of my things is I love to teach. And I feel like with coaching, you get to work with many, many individuals and help them kind of clear their path and, help them to reach a meaningful life. So that's one of my purpose in life, right? Like being able to be meaningful and be purposeful. And I want to share that with others as well. Um, so that's one of the reasons why I have my coaching. Actually, way before I joined the Happy Pharmacy, I kind of start coaching with others too. But
Okay.
essentially, yeah, just overall, I would say it's just the excitement and the enthusiasm that I get when I hear someone said or share like a success story, and it keeps reinforcing.
That's awesome. And I know also you said, I think you're also big on personal wellness and well-being and meditation and things like that. So do you try to like combine that with your coaching, or I know you've been doing that for a while as well. So
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know why I read this, but it's like, find something that pay you money, find something that keeps you happy, find something that keeps you healthy. So for me, I've been doing a practicing meditation since like seriously since 2007. But growing up, my dad, he's actually also practiced meditation and was at a very young age, but I didn't really take it seriously until like 2007. So definitely meditation is, I would say, my outlet for that I incorporate as a habit. I meditate every day. And yes, I actually do incorporate that into my coaching when possible. And depending on, the client, I would ask them if they want to meditate with me for like 5 minutes at the beginning of the call.
That is so
And
cool.
yeah, like most folks are like, what do you have to do? Because I think people have this perspective of meditation. It's like you gotta be like expert at doing it, but actually it can be as long as you want or as short as you want. It could be 10 seconds, take 2 breaths, or as long as 30 minutes, just zoning in. So I really try to incorporate that, because I think having the right mindset and mindfulness is so important. And that's part of coaching, is that piece, right? Like being able to go into like deeply reflect what you really want, your goals, and how to achieve that. So you need to have a clear mind.
That's awesome. Since you started doing that back in '07 and then continuing practicing now, do you feel like it's made a huge help you make like a transition in yourself as well? Have you seen that like growth over time from doing that?
I definitely think so, because like I mean, I would say 2007, I don't necessarily like do it every day, but I would say I take it to heart. Like I'll probably do at least weekly or monthly, right? And trying to go to various like yoga events. Like one of my fun things to do is yoga, goat yoga. Um,
I've heard of
um,
that. I have heard of that.
yes, they're really fun. But to do it every day and every morning, I actually only started that about a year, like, yeah, about last year, that I incorporated to do it every day, like commit to do 5 minute in the morning meditation. I basically have like a morning routine where I do meditation for at least 5 to 10 minutes, depending on my days, or it could be longer. And then I do like a gratitude journal, just 3 things I'm grateful for yesterday and what I'm looking forward to today. And I feel like I definitely see a transformation in my ways of conducting myself, but also like how I manifest the energy with other people.
No, I think that's a great habit to get into as well, just for like personal wellness and just growth and just to kind of really reflect with yourself and just slow down for a minute. And like life is so crazy already; it's already busy enough. So I think that's an awesome thing to incorporate, especially with your coaches. So that's really
Yes.
cool. And then I was gonna say, so with coaching though, how do you? I know for most people it could be a very foreign topic, right? In terms of for pharmacists in general, I feel like at least back when I was in school, I feel like I wasn't even aware of there being. I mean, back then there may not have even been many coaches for pharmacists in particular compared to like a business coach or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel about those who are a little ambivalent about making a transition or maybe accepting someone else's help or assistance with possibly making a career change or just struggling in the profession themselves where they are currently and just not sure what they want to do?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is that most pharmacists tend to be type A, where we want to do everything. We're like superwoman and superman, and we want to take over the world. And I think I would say most, if not many, are reluctant to ask for help. And when that happens, you're already, stopping yourself from progressing to the next level, because you don't want to ask for help. So I think the first thing is to know at a place where you know you need help and who you would seek help from. And I think having a coach, especially if you're an individual who would thrive in an environment where you have a supportive individual that will help you and keep you accountable, and help you to reflect on your like deeper goals. And because we are we are people before being a pharmacist, right? So really looking at us as holistic, from a not just pharmacy as a career, but just overall like our life, things, our hobbies. There are just so many more things in life than just our career. But it is a very crucial part of who we are and who we define ourselves as. So I think it's number one, know when you need help and be okay to ask for help, and not feel like if you're asking for your help, you're weak or you're not strong enough or you're not cut it, right? And I think that's a very wrong perception. And I hope people start to kind of, take away that mindset and change in a different way where it is okay to ask for help. Because I mean, I have many folks that have helped me to this journey and where I am at. And that's why I feel so passionate about giving back, through involvement with organizations or through my YouTube channel on mindset and money, because that's the goal, is helping passing on the knowledge and sharing.
No, I love that, and I feel like that's probably one of the hardest things is, especially as pharmacists we're very stubborn, and we're really want to try and handle a situation ourselves, and that's kind of how we were taught, and that's how we're kind of programmed. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's the biggest thing is it's just having that accountability partner, even if because you could have all these plans and you might know what you want to do, but it's just when you're going to do it, or it could be something where it might take you 5 years to do it on your own, but if you have someone who's just pushing you to go to the next level that much quicker, you can really expedite that time frame and really get it going. So I think that's awesome. I love that. And what about your YouTube channel? Can you explain a little bit more about that as well?
Sure. So I started my YouTube channel back in 2018, and it was stemmed from my desire to share more of what I know with others, and also interviewing folks so we can have to share learning. And one thing I realized is there are not as many pharmacists on YouTube, and kind of going back to our profession, most, if not many, pharmacists tend to be, and they want to be behind the stage, right? Like very reserved, or don't want to, or as not extroverted compared to some other individuals. So I see a need there that we need to, and another really big factor why I start YouTube channel, because I feel like, to be honest, even my parents don't know what I do as a pharmacist. And I want to go out and change that. Like, I want people to know what pharmacists do and what is the impact that we can do for our patient, and also what we can change healthcare. So I want to share that story and basically change how the public views a pharmacist. So with that being said, I started back in 2018, and I interview, various individuals on their career path. One thing that I also incorporate in addition to the pharmacy career, is that talking about financial literacy. That's another topic I'm very passionate about, because I realized that not many pharmacy students or pharmacists are equipped with the knowledge to do the right thing. And to be honest, I make mistakes along the way as well. And I want people to kind of hear my mistakes, and it's okay to make those mistakes, but then pick yourself back up and be back on a better financial journey. So I'll share like a funny story. It's not that funny, but it's definitely a mistake that I learned along the way. So I didn't have a car for like 7 years, not in high school, college, or pharmacy school. I
Wow.
walked
Okay.
everywhere. I used public transportation, and I, of course, took out student loan, and I have like 2 to 3 side gig to like trying to pay off my own college. And then when I finished with pharmacy school, guess what car I got?
You want me to actually guess
Yeah, go for it.
what kind of car you got? Oof. Was it a new or used car?
It was a brand new BMW.
Oh boy,
Yep.
that's awesome.
So, I mean, I would say I love the 2 years that I had the car, but I definitely, looking back, it was one of not so great decision when it comes to financial.
I made the
Uh,
same mistake as well.
yes.
I feel like, to probably reflect on how you felt too. You felt like you went through all that schooling and you felt like you deserved a treat, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I deserve this. I didn't have this car. Now I'm making six figure. I can afford this. No, I cannot. I always negative still with student loan and barely paying off anything. So I would say it's funny just because of, like, yeah, I didn't have a car for 7 years, and bam, a brand new BMW. So I went through that journey, and then I realized, and I started getting on like Dave Ramsey and Rich Dad Poor Dad, and start reading a lot of like financial books. I was like, wow, I'm doing this all wrong. So that's kind of how it all started. It's like the story we tell ourselves. Like money is just a tool that we use to transact things, but it's the mindset. So those are the reasons why I started my YouTube channel.
That sounds a lot like me. I'm not gonna lie. In terms of, I made the same mistake with buying a car right out of college, and then after meeting my wife, we got into the whole Dave Ramsey thing as well. So
Oh.
I can like 100% relate to that. But yeah, no, and then how often do you post on the channel, and how often are you doing that?
I post before it was about twice a week, so now I'm just trying to make it more consistent. So I do about, because there are weeks I would do 5, and then there are weeks I would do 2, and I start learning about YouTube. And honestly, I didn't know much about YouTube and all this analytics and stuff. So I'm learning more as I go, and especially like editing, recording. So now I do one video a week. I have it on Mindful Monday. So every Monday I have a video about regarding like money or career, leadership. Those are the things that I love talking about on there.
That's so awesome. And then like each week, do you come up with a new topic, or do you kind of ask people what you like to focus on, or how do you decide what you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I started with kind of the big topics, which is leadership, finance, and career. And then people would start posting things like, oh, can you do, about Roth IRA? Because I did one on Roth IRA, like, oh, can you do a video compare Roth versus traditional, or backdoor Roth conversion, or student loan versus investment first? So it kind of generate very organically what people want to hear, depend on what they want to hear. So I definitely try to cater to the audience, and then also put in my two cents in there. And then I would have folks similar to this interview them on their career. I actually like have them talk about their career as one, and then have them talk about like financial pearls.
That's so cool. I love that. And you said you started in 2018. Is that correct with
Mm-hmm.
it? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so cool. And I feel like, I mean, it sounds like it's very similar to your coaching, just you kind of do different topics in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Has it grown a lot, would you say, since you started to now, or how have you seen that change?
I think it has gained more viewership now. I think I just saw some YouTube data analytics that popped up, but for quote the lifetime that I was on, it's reaching almost 9,000, almost 10,000 viewership.
It's amazing.
So yeah, so it means like my husband was actually surprised. He's like, you actually people watch you? Like, hey, in a good way. He's actually one of the subscribers too. So I was like, you don't watch my video? He's like, I watched some of them. He was like, okay.
That's very
Um,
cool. Very cool. No, I love, and I feel like that's also, I mean, I'm not too familiar either with the whole YouTube channel thing, but I feel like there's just so many different ways to get your message out there, which I love it.
mhm.
Like through coaching, just while you're working, and now with your channel, which was before coaching. But I feel like it's so cool that you can just get your message out there and just help others who are in the same boat, and just kind of help them learn more and improve themselves in their own career path journey, and everything, all in between. So that's so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
And then now that, putting it all together with coaching, what is like your biggest goal with each client, like that you want to, what is the goal that you want to help them reach each time?
Yeah, so on my first call with them, I actually asked them what they want to achieve, right? So the program, most of my clients so far right now is doing the 90-day program. And 90 days sounds really long, but it's actually not. Um, a very short 10, 3 months. So, some people I want a job, but sometimes you may not get a job at 90 day. But what I tell them is that they are able to provide them the resources and tools they need, and equip them with the knowledge they can once they are done with me as a coach. Um, and I think, and I'm not, there is a program out there that we may have go beyond 90 day, but I'll let Alex hear that. But yeah, so I think in the beginning I asked them what is their goal in the 90 day, so that I can help them. And with my coaching style, we have a very open relationship in terms of, people change their mind in the middle of the course. But what I really ask them is, focus on 2 to 3 career paths that they're truly interested in. Because if you say, I want ambulatory care in pediatric and oncology setting, that's really hard. But if so I think it's important to focus on, like, for example, one of my client right now is interested in like informatics, regulatory affairs. So along the line, like if you have 2 or 3, it's easier because you can build out from that and start to really dig deep and get the experience or make the right connections to get you there.
Absolutely. No, I think it's also very hard, especially if you come in and you have 10 things that you're interested in, or or compared to, 1 or 2, it's a big difference. But also that work in the initial, few sessions, I think, of narrowing down what they want to do specifically and then being able to attack at it, really makes the biggest difference. That's the hardest part. 100%. And,
Yeah, and
yeah, go ahead. Go
oh,
ahead.
oh no, I was like, yeah, and one thing I would say is like, what I've seen a transformation. One of my clients share with me is like, it's just one of his biggest win of that week that we talked about last week is like, it's just awesome that I'm actually able to see their other career that is potential opening for me, right? Like he's in his current job 10 years now, and I think he's at the point where I'm like, I want to move on, but I don't know if I can move on because I've done the same thing. So once after a few sessions together, he's like, wow, actually there is a chance. So kind of giving people this silver lining, this hope that, and actually looking at their potential that they can make the jump if they really want to, but they got to put the efforts and the work into it. One thing I tell my client too is that, I can be the best coach, but if you don't do anything, I'm the worst coach because nothing's going to happen. Right. So it's really going to be up to them to be committed and carry out things we discuss. And I would say 70-80% of is the work that they have to complete.
No, I
Yeah.
100% agree. I feel like I always try to make that agreement, with my clients, like in terms of like I'm going to go at this as hard as I can. Like I expect you to
Mm-hmm.
do this, return the favor the same way, and the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of it. You can only get so much if you only put in a little bit. So, and it's the more effort you put in, like it's everything. Every goal is attainable. You just have to put in the effort. So, but as we wrap up, I would love to, what would be like a list of 3 things for people out there who are really unsure about coaching, or in terms of just don't know what they want to do. Maybe even, and I'm sure you've had some people who are just almost want to give up in pharmacy, maybe just because where they're at, they're so stressed out, or just sick of their current situation. What are like 3 pieces of advice you would offer them in terms of getting on to the next path of their journey?
Sure. Ooh, 3 things. So hard. I have so many. I'm just kidding. Um, I would say the first one is, reflect on the reason why you went into pharmacy. What was the first burning desire, right? Like your why. And then is it still what you expect of it? Is it what you're looking for? And if not, is it you or is it the environment, right? Because you can still be the best passionate pharmacist, but if you're in an environment that is not conducive to support you, or um, a hostile environment, or like a high pressure environment that can create may actually impact patient safety, and that just doesn't vibe with your values. So I think first of all, just reflect on where you're at, and is it environment versus is it yourself? So that's, I would say, the first thing. And the second thing I would say is once you have that realization and some of that reflection, reach out to one of us or any coach. We always offer like a complimentary 15-minute chat just to see how things, if this is the right thing for you. We definitely want to make sure it's a right match. We want motivated individuals who want to make a change, right? Because we wouldn't be able to do anything for you if you're not willing to do that for yourself. So I think that's definitely a second. Um, Third, I would say being able to, once, let's say you evaluate, reflect, and decide to go with coaching or not go with coaching, whichever. I think regardless, you have to put the work in. Um, create a system, work smart, have a strong work ethic, but definitely work smart and not hard. You can work hard, but definitely have to work smart nowadays too. So either you're with a coach or not with a coach, you still need to put the work in to get whatever you ever need. And surround yourself with people that love you, support you. Even when you don't succeed, they still love you and support you and get you out of your negative self-talk, because we're our own worst critic. So we would never say things we'd say to ourselves to others. And I think that's very damaging to our own like self-worth and self-esteem. So when you start having these negative thoughts about not being able to do it or about to give up, please reach out to anyone that you know will support you as much as you would support that person or someone that you love.
I love that. That was awesome. And I wanted, there was one other thing that reminded me of with, I think the phrase, I think it was you that said it. There was another phrase, you don't like using work-life balance. Was there another term you like to use?
Yes, so I don't believe in work-life balance because I don't think there's such a thing as a balance. Because I think in this world there's always, so I call it work-life integration. I actually I made up this concept. I call it and cycle of priorities through like a Ferris wheel prototype. So it's like a circle. Sometimes at the very top, that's your top priority. So that could be you're going home early, having dinner with your family. Like that's your priority at Friday. On Monday, you have a big project so that might be your top priority for that week, that you may come home late and have that discussion with your loved one. So I don't think there's a balance. It's how you integrate your work and your life and your own personal hobbies / health / wealth / whatever you want to / faith into it. Kind of like having your big rocks in your life and not letting the sand and the small rocks take away from, because if you let people take time away from you, they will. So I think it's important to have that work-life integration.
Awesome. No, I love it. Great advice. I really appreciate it. It was a blast having you on today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us today, Anne. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I had a lot of fun as well.
And if anyone wants to reach out to you, what's the best way they can contact you?
LinkedIn is a great way to, I'm very active on LinkedIn, or on Instagram. I'm not as active, but I'm getting there, at In Mindful Life. And then, of course, on my YouTube channel, Mindset and Money. And I'll also reply to the comments and feedback from there too. And I also have a book list page with our Happy Farm D page for as well. So there are many ways of trying to reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much again for joining me today on this episode of the Happy Farm D podcast. I hope you took a lot of useful information from my discussion with one of our newest coaches, Anne Nguyen. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions regarding the Happy Farm D and what our coaching program entails, or anything at all with what we do. We're more than happy to help and provide you with as much information as possible. Again, thank you so much for joining me today on this episode, and I'll see you next time.